Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Dave, and in this video I'm going to be working on a large graphite and charcoal canvas. I'm going to be using making brushes and some charcoal pencils as well. The image I'm working with is an image of Blindboy, and for anyone who doesn't know who Blindboy is, he has a podcast. It's very funny, it's very inspirational, and I really enjoy the podcast. When I'm doing these canvases, that's tend to what I listen to, you know. So here we go now, let's rock and roll. Just using some graphite powder here. It's very therapeutic, just kind of spreading it out on the canvas. But you just want to softly kind of spread it out over the whole canvas, and this will give you a lovely tone as a background. I will darken the background up later in the video, but for now I just want to have a nice light tone in the background just to give me a little bit of contrast to work with. Spend a wee bit of time with this, just keep spreading the graphite out. And then what you want to do is you want to get some tissue paper and just lightly I don't know what you want to do, like just lightly massage it or spread it, just I don't know. I'm lost for words here. Just kind of use the tissue powder and blend it into the canvas. We'll go with that. Okay. But yeah, that's what I'm doing here. I have spent a wee bit of time just kind of sketching out and getting the canvas ready. But here we go. So what I'm doing here, I just put a wee bit of that graphite powder into a cap, and I'm using the smallest makeup brush in my set. It's a very kind of hard brush and quite small, so yeah, it kind of works for the pencil. At this stage in the drawing, I'm not too concerned about detailing. I'm just trying to just mark out some of the kind of features at the moment. In the previous videos I would have worked kind of solely with charcoal, and when I was doing this I would have worked dark to light, but in this drawing I'm working from light to dark. So I just want to get the eyes put in here, as I'll be using the eyes as a reference point. It's kind of just how I work with hand-eye coordination. So once I know where the eyes are, I can kind of just keep glancing back and forth to my phone, and I have a rough idea where I am on the drawing. Even though it is kind of marked out, I still need a reference point. So I'm just spreading a wee bit of that charcoal dust from the pencil out, but I will be moving back to working with the graphite powder. There's a couple of ways of doing this. Some people tend to go in with graphite pencils, and when you do this, it does take a lot of time, and if you are really trying to push that hyper-realism, it's kind of the way to go about it. But for this particular drawing, I'm just going for a nice realistic realistic result. So I'm just going to be using like a dry brush technique with the graphite powder. In Blindboy's podcast, he speaks a lot about kind of the whole creative flow process, and I relate to this a lot. Like sometimes I really struggle to, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I just struggle in general to kind of be focused on something, you know. So it normally takes me, it could take a few hours, a couple of days just to actually get into the drawing. Well, I think now over the last couple of weeks I have a nice little system in place. I kind of have it all well structured. I do try to finish these drawings in about 2 weeks, and that's with the video edit and that as well, so it's working out. I'm pretty sure now with this video, like really, if you follow this video step by step, there is no reason why you won't be able to achieve something similar. Just really spend a bit of time just marking out your canvas first before you start. Give yourself some guidelines. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm just putting in very, very soft tones, and at a later stage in the drawing I'll go back and I'll just keep building up them tones. I do like to have a wee bit of charcoal on the canvas. I use this as a palette, and just in certain areas when I feel I need to just kind of really go dark, I'll dip into that black area and I'll just use them tones. It also gives me a reference point, just so I can see the contrast from the darkest to the lightest. I don't know who's watching this video, but it's a good little trick is kind of get yourself a piece of paper and do out a couple of boxes with just different tones and gradients, and just kind of practice and just study the tones. Basically, when you're looking at an image and you're trying to adjust your eyes to mid-tones and light tones and that, you need references. So when I look down on the canvas, I can see the darkest area, which is obviously his t-shirt at the moment, so that would be solid black. So my eye knows that is the darkest. The lightest is obviously the white, and then I left that nice little layer in the background, which gives me almost like a light to mid-tone. So I have a couple of references already in place, and this will make the whole process of doing this drawing very easy. I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe I might do a wee video in the future explaining the process a wee bit better on just judging tones. So Blindboy actually wears a plastic bag on his head, and I think in the history of me drawing, which is about 30 plus years, I'm giving my age away now, I don't think I've ever drawn a plastic bag before. And I had to sit down. I went out into my backyard and I was pacing back and forth trying to figure out, like, how do I go about drawing a plastic bag. I know it sounds stupid, but I was trying to figure out, do I just cover the whole head in graphite powder and then erase, or do I go in with some light graphite and create all those little kind of creases in the plastic bag? And I literally paced back and forth for about an hour. I must have had 2 or 3 coffees, and I don't know how many cigarettes I had just trying to figure out this out. So when I came back in, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and we'll see what happens. So I basically just got my little makeup brush and I just started putting in all those little crease lines. And you'll see now at a later stage in the video how I kind of made that work for me. I'll explain it in more detail then. I can't even tell you how many hours I put into this, but like, oh man, this was a challenging drawing. Not so much the size, as I do normally work on quite large canvases, but I was just trying to figure out on how I was going to go about it, you know. Like I said, I've never drawn a plastic bag on somebody's head before. But yeah, it's good fun. It's all part of the process. So if there's anyone out there and for some bizarre reason you need me a plastic bag to be drawn, you know who to contact. You can see there now, have quite a lot of the soft tones down already, and just in a few little areas, again just creating more reference points. I darken up just a few of the wee areas. I think it was in my previous video I go into a lot of detail on using brushes, but I do recommend go back and watching this, because each brush has its own purpose, you know. This is actually my go-to brush here. It's the one I work with the most, just for getting all those little details in. Drawing looks quite basic there at the moment, but like I said, I'm not trying to focus on kind of finishing it at the moment. I just want to cover the whole canvas in a couple of tones, that way I know what I'm working with. I actually forgot that I was being recorded, and I was listening to a few tunes in the background, and yeah, that's just me bopping my head. I'm trying to think it was what I was listening to, but I found this track on TikTok recently, and it's this cheesy German pop song, and I just can't get it out of my head. So I know I was listening to that song at a few stages in the drawing, so that's what it could have been. So this is a very important part here. I'm just bringing out that tissue paper again and just blending in those soft tones. So I'm quite happy with kind of what I've done there so far. So I decided just to black out the rest of the bottom half, and now I have a really strong reference point to work off. So I'm actually using a willow powder here, and a willow would be kind of maybe a tone up from the graphite powder. So I'll just start working in a layer of that on top of the graphite, and now what I'm actually doing is I'm putting in a layer of charcoal powder on top of that willow powder, and I'm just trying to bring up the tones so I have a slightly darker background, but not too dark, if that makes sense. What this will do is, if you look at where the drawing is now, it's building contrast, and just when you're kind of trying to not necessarily sell a drawing, but trying to get a drawing to have an impact on the person, it's all about contrast. So what I'm doing here now is I'm quite happy with all them soft tones and mid tones, so I'm just using that charcoal powder now to put in my darker tones, and I'm using the charcoal powder as my palette. So like I said, with this drawing I'm going for almost realism, but not necessarily hyper realism. So when I'm referring to the actual image on the phone, I'm not copying every detail exactly. I'm just kind of estimating it, because I do like that kind of more artistic-y kind of look. And to be honest with you, I just don't have the patience to spend weeks and weeks and weeks just putting in every detail. That kind of way of drawing, it just doesn't work for me. I'd have a mental breakdown doing it. Just losing concentration after a period of time. So the process I've this suits me the best, and yeah, I can manage this. Trying to think back now to where I am in the particular drawing, like just my state of mind. But yeah, I'm in my element there. Not a care in the world, just chilling out. So what the plastic bag is actually says. It took me a while to figure out what it says, but it says Swords Shopping Centre, which is a shopping centre in North Dublin. Uh, so I'm not actually sure where the whole plastic bag thing comes from. He does mention it in one of his podcasts, but yeah, Swords Shopping Centre. So you can see there I'm holding my little tray with my kind of, it's solid black charcoal, and I'll just be using that pretty much for the rest of the drawing, and just kind of I keep saying refining. I don't even know if refining is the correct term, but yeah, I'm just kind of building it, working it and working it and working it basically until I'm happy with the contrast. So this is probably my favourite part of the whole entire process, and it's kind of working backwards now. I'm just getting all those whites in. So I've made sure to actually cover the whole canvas in graphite, and graphite is so easy to erase. So what I do is I cut little patterns into a few different erasers. So I'll have maybe a rounded edge on the eraser, and then on another one I have a pointed edge, and I'll use the erasers almost like pencils or brushes, and I will spend hours now just getting in every little detail. So man, I've done a lot of talking about plastic bags here, but yeah, plastic bags are challenging, let's just say that. So it was really important for me to really emphasize it's a plastic bag. And yeah, like I must have spent about 2 days just putting in all these little whites. I'm actually really happy with kind of how everything is going at the moment. I have such a really good system in place just in my life, where I'll wake up and I'll have my coffee, I'll do maybe an hour, then I'll go and do what I have to do for the day, I'll come back, I'll do another couple of hours, I might take a nap, have some food, and yeah, I think my only issue is I stay up way too late. So, well, I actually, it's weird, man. I like staying up late. I think it's when my head slows down, I'm more focused, or just more chilled out, really, you know. Well, yeah, that's pretty much the drawing finished here now. Get my little signature down. Made a little mistake there, so I almost spelled my name wrong. But yeah, I'm so happy with this drawing, you've no idea. So if you do have any feedback on the drawing or anything, just drop me a message, or they can find me on Instagram, and I live on my phone, and I love engaging with people that are interested. You can literally ask me anything, and I'll get back to you. Like, I just like chatting to people and sharing ideas and things like that. I didn't learn this overnight. I had to learn from a lot of people to get to this level. So I'm always willing to kind of help anyone else in their journey. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I do recommend going back watching the last couple of videos, as kind of anything I might have left out in this video, I'm pretty sure I would have covered in the last one. So there should be a link somewhere down the screen towards the end. Give me a wee subscribe. It really helps me in the early days kind of promoting myself, and yeah, it makes it all worthwhile. I like when people like my stuff and subscribe, and yeah, thanks, guys. And give the podcast a listen to. See you later.